Hey Guy, I'm super excited to show what's happened during the first part of the project. So it's been already 3 months, actually 73 days we are working on the concept. And I had the idea of the devlog a bit late in the process, but I took the time to record a lot of stuff while we were doing these. But the idea of the devlog came a bit late. And I was wondering either it's better to show you, in detail some stuff and then I decided I want to have kind of a weekly release of episode in the channel. And to do so, I needed to catch up the 3 months that just passed in one episode. So that's the purpose of that episode, is to show you what happened during the 3 months, what we've been working on so far. And then I wanted to show you, the result of what we've did so far, and that's the prototype. So we were focused on building a prototype, Gabrielle and I, still working with my daughter, but she was more working, with me directly, discussing, and then I tried to translate the ideas of our discussion with Gabrielle, and we were iterating like that. A lot of things happened. So basically, first thing first, we started to work on that princess idea with Gabriel. So he started to do, a 3D model on Blender and rigging it, creating animation for that. And that was the last part of the last episode. I stopped the episode on that part. And it's the most exciting part, actually. First things first, we were building a prototype with, that orange. So we didn't really focus on characters and story at that time. We only knew with my daughter and the discussion we had together that we wanted a fight. We wanted a very intense fight between a dragon and a princess. So I started to create a small prototype, with this orange T player, because we didn't want it. It's only prototyping, So I had that princess able to move and shoot things to that huge boss. So basically, the big T orange character represents daisies in the middle of a sort of an arena where you can move around and then fight. And then starting like that with Gabrielle, discussing also with my daughter, we started to build, try to enrich that scenery. Because at first it was only, a character running around and then one T-pose kind of, character in the middle. So we started to create, different phases. The one is the stomp. So basically the character in the middle can probably jump and then hit the ground very loudly. Or it can rushes on you. So it did start to, come very fast to you. And if you're in the past, then you die. And then it also has that sort of firing bullets. At first it was white balls, it was only prototyping again. So we started doing that, and we started being very bored of that. Gabrielle suggested that there should be mobs around, and we tried to enhance slowly but efficiently, I would say, the gameplay around. So the ideas of the dragon comes very fast to Gabrielle. It was very good at picturing what my daughter had in mind, because she didn't have enough skills in drawing to be able to draw a dragon like that. So Gabrielle was very much lead in that part, and it proposed that very terrific dragon that we named Daisy. And then we started unanimated to implement it in right away. And just to bring, more cool things to the prototype, we started to draw an arena with proper rocks, maybe, grass, and we tried a few things. And day after days, the game became a bit more cool to play, but we were still very far to what we wanted to accomplish. And suddenly, after spending, almost a month working on, the animations, the ambience, the look and feel, the models, the textures, some props, we started to feel very bored about the fact that it's only, you and Daisy is quite powerful. So it appears that the gameplay should have been more progressive. And to create that progressivity, we started to work on mobs. Basically, mobs are Daisy's friends in the game. They're gonna help Daisy to fight against you, and they have different abilities. So first mobs is probably the flying bat, which is a mob that follows you and fly around you, look at you, and then shoot at you. So it's only doing range attack. Then there is the skeleton. So basically the skeleton are more coming into hordes of skeletons. It's like zombies actually. I don't know if you ever played a game called Project Zomboids, but what I liked about the zombies in this game is that they are very slow at first, but since there is a lot of them around you, then you get overwhelmed by the number of these guys, and they always, come to you, they harass you kind of. And it's becoming very, frightening at a certain scale. The ideas of the skeleton in Goodnight Princess is that they follow you and then they push you to walk around because you cannot stay static. So you need to walk around, you need to explore the maps. So it was a cool limitations, and it was a cool limitation trying to, enhance the gameplay. Another cool idea, we needed someone in the middle. So between the bats and the skeletons, we needed someone that would be a bit more unpredictable, because skeletons are very predictable. There is heaps of them. They come to you right when they see you. They are pretty basic. If they are close enough to you, they will try to hit you with their melee weapons. The bats are shooting from far away to you, so they kind of create that feel of danger, because they have a pretty wide range. I'll detail that more probably in the next episode, but they have a huge range, so they can shoot at you from very far, and that makes you always, look around to see if there is any around you. We really liked that, and it gives intensity to the fight, but we needed someone in the middle, a bit ferocious, and unpredictable. That's the main thing. So we created that knight that can either shoot at you or rush at you, and it's something that you should be frightened about because they are pretty strong, pretty heavy. They act like tank. They come here and then either they're gonna shoot at you or they're gonna rush on you. We did a telegraph part on the ground, so it can show you briefly what the knight is gonna do. So otherwise, it will be very frustrating for the players. But so the knight, when he decides to rush on you, then you have only a few seconds to dash or move around from his path. Otherwise, you die. We started bringing these, and it was running very good. So Gabriel and I were really fast at prototyping the things on Blender, integrating them on Unreal, and then coding the whole things. And we ended up with a very solid prototype by the end of August that was very convincing already. But I started to realize something at that time. First thing is that we never did any market research or stuff. So it was like roughly around a month and a half we were working on that, concept, and we didn't do any market research, market analysis and stuff. And since I'm come from the startup industry, I got more used to that, In the startup industry, you don't work for like 3 years in a project without knowing that the project is going to be a success. So I needed to, retrieve that lowering the risk kind of. We started doing the research, and for that I made a tool since, I'm a software engineer. So I was doing JavaScript before in my life, so web application and stuff, and I was using that tool, Retool. So Retool is basically, I'm not doing any advertisement here. It's just that it's pretty handy if you have to code stuff. But anyway, so what does Retool is it provides you, user interface where you can inject backend code. And I did that tool for market analysis. So basically how it works is you add a game here. I already have a Risk of Rain here, but let's say that you want to have another game like probably Returnal. That's a good game, Returnal. You go to Steam and then you take the ID of Returnal in the URL like that, and then when you go to that tool and you paste that ID, and I'm using SteamDB data to fetch the data out of Steam store, and then we were using the SteamDB data, and then you can import and add the game to the market analysis. What it does by doing that, it creates a fourth quartile, mainly on the price, it also gives you the review score on Steam, estimated quantity of selling. Be careful with this number because they come directly from SteamDB, and we know that it's based on the number of review, and then there is a ratio on that. I'm not particularly, I don't feel that very precise, but it's important to know that you have a rough idea of the things. And I use also that things called the magic revenue factor. So basically it's 34.5% for, France and Europe. It might not be the same for you guys or for people around the world because we have taxes and stuff here. So these come from articles. I'll share that in the description of the video. Article about from Steam sale, how much you can expect to earn as a developer. So roughly a good number for us is 34.5% around. Based on a refund, based on the taxes, the difference between dollars and euros and stuff, all this stuff, it's taken into account into that magic number. And then the cool thing is, so I did the exercise with like 26 games around, and the cool thing is you can already see some interesting stuff. If you take the fourth quartile, we can exclude it right away because it's like very obvious that this quartile is for AAA game. We just added Retool. Okay, there is a small bug here. It's millions here because we don't do the, it's K. It's K. So if you talk about that, that's interesting. If you talk about the fourth quartile, it's only AAA. We don't want to go deeper there, but it's heaps of budget, heaps the very large teams. So basically, that's interesting thing. Something has broke here. Maybe Retool broke that, but anyway. And the other one are pretty interesting. Price tag at $5 is pretty close to having a solo dev working lonely, on a concept and trying to, sell his game basically. I found that there is not so many differences between the first quartile and the second quartile actually, because also if you do a qualitative approach and you take all these games and you try to see the how long to beat, basically you're gonna see that these two quartiles are pretty close to each other. So my opinion on that is the first quartile is people that don't dare to put the game at $10, so they wanted to put, they have the impression that their game is pretty small. They want to scam the player. It's nice from them. But, apart from that, maybe it gives the impression for the player that the game is too small, not cool enough. But there is not so many differences, so many differences between the first and second quartile. And the third quartile is somehow very interesting because it has a price tag more closer to the $20. So I guess the strategy around here is having a tag of $20, but having a 20% discount. That's gonna push you around $15 somehow. And this has much higher reviews. And if you look at the quartile, so I haven't put it there, but if you look at the how long to beat things for that quartile, it's roughly between 6 to 8 hours, where this one is about 4 hours and this one is about 2 or 3 hours around. So I know it's not only the only things we should watch, but pretty interesting thing is that I've seen some games at $25 that have 6-hour gameplay, a bit of roguelite so you can replay it, but I was interested in saying, that's maybe a sweet spot for us. But anyway, it's not what I wanted to see. What I wanted to see is mainly that thing, the score part. Score part is on average 87.98%. Very interesting things, even for games that are very confidential, they don't sell a lot, they have a 90% score in average, which is insane, meaning that no matter if the game has worked or not, it's a shame for, it's a shame for these guys, but even if their game hasn't sold a lot, it still has a pretty high score. So I was understanding that, saying to myself at least that the genre of shoot them up and kind of very close games to that have a very well, the player loves it. You guys love this kind of game. And I do actually. That's the reason we are working on that is I wanted to do a shoot them up. I wanted to do something that smells, the 80s, but, with a third person camera or, something more, modern that what shooters used to be. But so I was wondering, and I saw that having that score so high means that if we are good at, in the code of the genre, then maybe we can produce a game. It's not only about money, but I don't want to, engage in 1 year development because it's kind of hard to develop a game. Let's face it. I didn't want it to rush for a year on a game where I didn't had, the impression that it would be interesting to people. I want people to play the game. I don't make the game just to make fun with my daughter. It's also a business. It's also an activity. So interesting. Also, one thing I haven't talked about, I used a website called 50 Games Like. You probably already know it, but it's pretty cool. Like, if you put a game on that website, then it's going to give you tags where you can find pretty close game in terms of gameplay. Not the look and feel, but the gameplay. And that's pretty interesting when you do such studies, because it gives you games you don't probably know about, but at worst to know. Because if you only know the game you are putting in this study, either you're very, very knowledgeable, I mean, either you have a lot of knowledge on the game industry, or you're probably only focusing on game that works. And we want also the game that has failed sailing, because we want to understand what's the worst case scenario and what's the best case scenario, obviously excluding the fourth quartile, as we can't produce 60 hours gameplay. It's not something achievable. But anyway, enough talk about the numbers. I wanted to show you that because I think that a lot of indie programmers I've seen, they don't pretty much do such things. And I feel that it's kind of important to do it before, engaging 1 year or 2 years in your life on that. We pushed the game, and going back to the prototypes, we were working hard to propose a prototype. The idea of the prototype was having a small gameplay and show around to some investor or, not publisher, because I think it's a bit too early for that. But I wanted to be able to share that with some friends and grasp their feeling about that. And that's what we made, actually. I haven't talked about the part, is like we were working very hard with Gabriel, pushing, props and stuff to the maps, creating some story with the mobs that rush. I'm going to show you the mobs, actually, we did. It's pretty cool. So there's a lot of mesh around. Basically, the mobs are 3. So I talked to you about the bat. We are doing a variation, to the mobs. So we don't have always the same mobs. Oh, that is laggy now. So we were doing variation to the mobs. We were doing the 3 mobs. I wanted to show you the 3 mobs. So basically that's the skeleton. And right now we are, as I said before, we are working on variation for the skeleton. So you don't always have the same guy. He has different haircuts, different stuff. He's not holding the weapon right now, but this guy can hold, an axe. It can hold a sword. It can hold, a shield in a hand. It can hold anything. The knight himself has this power, so he can throw projectiles to you, and then he has this, huge shield that's put in himself and rushes on you with the shield first, so you have the spikes that's terrifying, And then there's the flybat that, spit to you, fire projectiles and stuff. We are doing variation to all of these mobs. I will add them to the channel later, but that's what we built. So I'm very happy of the pace we had, because we built an enormous load of assets for the game. And then we started to discover about the fact that level design is kind of hard. How much money you're gonna earn when you kill a mob, how much damage you give when you shoot with your primary weapons, how much damages you give when you shoot to the secondary weapons, what kind of karma, potions and stuff. All these stuff were very overwhelming. So I quickly realized that there is no way I can do the prototype by myself. And there is a very important part in every game, is the gameplay. Gameplay, you can have nice ideas about the gameplay by yourself without being a professional, because you're a player, right? So you can play games and then you can, have fun with game and understand how the games are made, and then say, oh, there should be a primary weapon, there should be a secondary weapon. And then you're gonna have to create the gameplay, and creating a gameplay is way more technical than it sounds. I just discovered that. Probably it's something that sounds obvious to you guys, but for me it was not, definitely. So I had to find someone who would be able to, calculate the number of damage deals, just balance the game so it's not too frustrating, but it's also not too easy, So having a progression for the player, rewards and stuff. We're gonna talk a lot about that, because that's the hard we are in right now. It's very difficult to make a great game. Because think about Tetris, for instance. Tetris doesn't have cool graphics, doesn't have awesome, it's very simple. There is only 2 controls, but still it's the game of the century probably, or the millennium, because the gameplay is very well balanced and it's interesting. But anyway, I won't go too deep into that because I'm still learning this thing. But I met Jeanne, which funnily have the same surname that I, but we aren't from the same family. It's pretty funny. I met Jeanne, who is actually also a teacher in a pretty famous French school. And she, so I ping her directly on LinkedIn and ask her, oh, I'm working on that project. It's something between the father and the daughter. And then, do you want to help me by any chance? And she said, yes, believe it or not. So she decided to join the project with us, and she is helping us on 2 major things. First thing is the game design, as I talked, and the second thing is the level design. So basically the level design and the game design are very well intricated, because talking about that level I showed you, Jeanne has decided to, have the way that... so that's something we're going to talk again. I have so many things to explain to you, but I can't actually, otherwise I will do, 2 hours videos about that. So Jeanne has taken the decision to, try something. Is forcing the player to choose path. Either it takes right path, where you're going to have a temple kind of here, meeting, knights and stuff, having some bonuses around here, or taking the left path that goes, on the left side to a windmill, and then having flying bat more around here. Boss pass arrives to an arena where you can fight Daisy. That was kind of the thesis we were trying. We won't stick to that because we find it's too much a corridor, and also I haven't said that if you choose a path, then you cannot go back to change your mind. Very frustrating. We wanted something probably more explorish, so we won't stick to that. But that was very interesting discussion we had with Jeanne, and I can't wait to share all the discussion we had and the decision we took and why we took them. But we are right in the middle of that right now. So shifting, either we want to force player to explore, very long corridors and stuff, or having more kind of very open, I won't say open world, because we won't build an open world. Obviously, it's way too complicated for 3 people. But without talking about having an open world, then we can still have, some places more open. So we are working on that right now. I'm very, very satisfied to the work we've done on only 3 months. It's pretty insane. I saw that we will build that in like a year, probably. And it's already there. So look at that. It's pretty beautiful. Gabriel has made us some cool work on, the fences. We have a temple. We have, places where a fight has been done in the past. We even have a catapult. I haven't shown you the catapult. Look at that catapult. It's pretty cool. We have flags, the roof stuff, the trees. We have Daisy, which is here, and the nest, Daisy nest in the mountain, kind of. I'm taking you to the windmill so you can see the windmill. And basically that's it. That's what we done in 3 months. I'm pretty proud, as you can probably tell with my voice. But anyway, it's pretty cool actually. And we have some very cool ideas now, but still discussing that, working a lot on the level design. I start to notice that the level design will take us ages to do, because there is very important discussion coming out there. If you have any idea or probably experience on that, then show us in the comments what you think about that. But for now, that's it. We're gonna focus more from now on the narrative part, the book itself, the relationship between the book, and so it's storytelling in the book, and then having the action phase on the ground. I'll share more content, and I think that at first I wanted to, kind of make a Netflix documentary out of this game, but I'm just realizing that it's too much of work for myself, so I wanted something probably more cool, more direct to you guys, so I can share, my ideas directly and show you prototypes. Otherwise, it would have taken me like, months of work for mounting videos. So probably I will do some episodes a bit more, emotional, like I used to do with my daughter, and more technical, more, in-depth one, like I'm doing right now. That's it. I don't have any more things to share to you right now. Also, there is very important subject is how can I pay for, all these helps on that project? I know you guys probably wonder, maybe you are a player and you don't care because it's not a problem, or maybe you are a developer and you want some info on that. I can share you so many things on that, so I'll make a dedicated episodes. Thank you for watching. Hit that subscribe button. Don't hesitate to share your comments share your thoughts on the comments, and can't wait to see you back in the next episode. Bye.